Hey guys, I wanted to elaborate on the facts of a previous video I did about Pretzelz Collie. For some reason people signed with him, which I assumed was mental illness, but this one guy made me think about it. People assume I'm insulting someone who's handicapped, but that isn't the case here. I'm insulting an idiot who was perfectly healthy, who lost his hands. We all know it's wrong to insult people who are born handicapped, or people who experienced something traumatic, and become disabled. I'm making it clear that I didn't do that. My reason to insult him is based on him being a liar. You can believe what you want, but here are the facts. And yes, these are the facts. Like I mentioned, his ugly boyfriend is replaceable, so I don't care about him. Neither is his father, but I respect his dad. That situation where they kissed was pretty dumb. None of this justifies why his son lost both his hands. Or even how he did it. This really is stupid. So let's stick with the facts. This guy worked as a cashier at his local Chevron. That's a shitty job to have, and it doesn't financially support anyone. You couldn't afford a house working that salary, so you might wonder how he owns a house. The reason why I'm asking this is based on his hobbies, which he claimed to be an outdoors man, adventurer, motorsports, skier and mechanic. Good luck affording that with your Chevron job. Not only that, he buys a bunch of junk, including his fursuit. He owns a few of them. But he was born rich, so what do you expect? When he had hands, you wondered how did he afford to pay to have these hobbies? His ugly boyfriend sure didn't have a good job, it's why he's free to look after him all day. So he's a rich kid, buys a ton of toys, and has his fun. But he changed his Twitter photo to the exact same photo he used for his GoFundMe campaign. There was no mistake for this, it was the same image he had on his computer that he used. He didn't want people to know he was a loser wearing a costume, so he used his real photo. But faked the girl's name, and he didn't even spell it correctly. The funds went directly to his bank account. Because he knew it was easier to use a girl's name, but girls know how to spell their own names. This all happened too fast. His GoFundMe account was up before anyone knew the story, but they knew he was fucked up. He lied about how long it took, because emergency services responded too fast. There was a video of him being airlifted, which he removed from his Facebook account. It had too much personal information, city names, and reasons to throw his ass in jail if it was reported. One moment his hands were being wrapped for frostbite. The next moment he was being airlifted to California, from Nevada. And before the morning ended, his hands were gone. The term bilateral is only used when people mention an injury. That's how I knew it. Doctors only mention it because he was disabled. That's how I knew he filed for disability. His next video on Facebook was of him, with stubs for hands, poking at his phone with his mouth. He didn't tell anyone he was disabled, and instead of him letting anyone know, he allowed the GoFundMe page to continue accepting cash. For someone to suffer such a tragic accident, he sure knew how to react. He specifically promoted his GoFundMe page, so before any of your crap about him being hurt and disabled, he lied. This is why I made the video. He's a liar. But here's the biggest bullshit of all, the dry ice he used. He claimed to have them in separate containers, for each hand. I can tell you based on experience, this was intentionally self-harm. When people heard about it on Twitter, we looked up his real name and found him in the Facebook group for the BIID community. This happened before his hands were amputated. He used that same Facebook account he uploaded those videos on. So it's no mistake, that was his actual account. Everyone who's ever played with dried ice knows how painful it is. It feels like putting yourself in actual fire. For someone to set both hands this way, accidentally, is completely impossible. One hand wouldn't sit there more than a minute. Human instincts prevent you from self-harm. No matter how you view it, this was intentional. He claimed to have been tired, took pills, and fell asleep with both hands in dry ice. I don't care how high you are, not even the toughest guys could handle that pain, let alone with arthritis. I also don't believe he did this regularly, regardless of what he tells you. The first time was his last time. He lied, and he knows it. I looked up on Google, and nobody uses dry ice. I even looked up on Bing, with same results. Nobody even uses that shit for a broken bone, People don't use dry ice for any medical treatment. It's retarded as fuck to use. So, once again, unless you've played with dried ice, shut the fuck up. That shit hurts like a motherfucker. He was also too young to have actual arthritis. Imagine him telling the Chevron boss that. He would have been fired if he complained the register buttons were too tough. But it makes you think, maybe he thought his life would be better if he didn't have hands. He wouldn't have to work at Chevron, and he could threaten people on Twitter. Obviously, that never happened. No need for anyone to worry about people on the internet threatening your life. His rent is also too high, and due to his ugly boyfriend working on the salary of a caregiver, he won't live there very long. It's why I believe he's renting, or his father owns the property. Property tax is expensive though. The final part of this story I'll mention is his hands. His left thumb is extended, because it rejected being submerged in dry ice. I'm not a doctor, but seeing the photos of his hands looks like one of them struggled to live. I know it doesn't add up to his story, like how his boyfriend never had a job. But when his ugly boyfriend was at work, this was when he complained that his hands hurt. He drowned his left hand and it didn't want to drown, it doesn't even look like the right one. Meaning, he shoved his hands in the same bowl, and his left hand was in agony. His left hand was likely the second hand to be submerged. Just looking at the both of them, the right one died quicker with bubbles around the wrist. But the left one may have lived. That could have been the surviving hand that wiped his own ass. It's so sad to think about. I have no idea if he was left or right-handed, and now it really doesn't matter. This also means he never fell asleep, and that would explain how his original message on Twitter made sense. He made a mistake, and now we know what it was. That wraps up this video. Anyways, thanks for viewing, and thanks for allowing me to elaborate more on this unfortunate situation. I'll make a new video soon. Take care guys.